Hey everybody, this is JudyAdele and I am here to do a music reaction video. Today we are going to watch the Oliver Anthony song, Richmond, North of Richmond. And this song, so if you're aware of this at all, this has created quite a buzz here in the US and in other places too, it sounds like, from reading just a little bit of the comments that I've caught from other people from other countries who are like, hey, us too. This gentleman, as far as I know, completely unknown, has done some YouTube stuff, but a performer to small audiences up until like a week or so ago, maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, when his song just really blew up. And so when I saw it, it didn't even occur to me to think about it as a music reaction, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't. I really didn't look much into it. I didn't watch it for quite a while. So I have seen it a couple times, but I just wanted to check it out a little bit and just see what all the hubbub was about and what people were saying about it a little bit. At some point, it finally occurred to me that that I have this music reaction channel, and it would be interesting to chat about a little bit and hear what y'all think as well. So let's have a watch. Hey, a little quick note from future Judy. So I went a little long on this one, unless the DJ takes it all out like, that's all rubbish. Anyway, some of the longer videos, we're trying to put chapters on them so you can kind of go to particular places. So I just wanted to let you know that that will be happening on this one if you happen to be watching it. So thank you.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an old soul.
I love that line, living in the new world with an old soul. The instrument. Okay, what is he playing? I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Yeah, interesting. I love that he's out in the wilderness. That's awesome and feels very fitting. Interesting voice. I will definitely be curious to hear some more songs by him. I know I heard his speaking voice briefly, and I honestly, it surprised me. I thought it was going to sound really different than it did, and I don't know how to quantify that.
With an whole soul, these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, know the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare.
So
I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere.
that is an interesting line to me. So it took me a little bit, because when I was hearing this song for the first time, I was like, which minors is he talking about? Which direction is he going with this? Are we talking minors, the working minors? Are we talking the under 18 minors? And it's been suggested that it's starting out with the minors, the working minors, to the minors on an island, so the Epstein situation. I'd love his confirmation on that. Yeah. Anyway, clever writing, if that's the case.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
I love that line of the whole thing of they want to know what you think, you know what you do. They don't think you know, but I know that you do. It's just that little section of lyrics right there is just it's just crazy. Back in the whole new world, old soul thing.
What you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of Richmond.
I love the raw, like just the raw vocal aspect of this, and it's the pain and desperation that comes through. Oops.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime, my soul, working all day.
It's cute, Bobby. Give me hands, puppy. So cute.
Overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Oh, another one. Very thought-provoking song, and so curious to know more about his perspectives on things. So one of the things that made me want to do this song on this reaction channel had seen mostly just intense reactions to his song on multiple sides of the aisle, so to speak. I hate that phraseology. I hate the aisle being dividing two camps when I think there's so much more mushiness and mushiness in the whole situation that isn't being addressed and isn't being allowed to happen. But Oliver Anthony, put out a video that I have only seen a couple snippets of, but I saw enough of it to make me more curious about who he is and what he thinks, and help me know that the song was maybe more complex than what the intensive reactions on the far right and left that I feel like I was probably only seeing in the beginning were saying. So I wanted to watch the whole thing. So let's do it now. So this video was done right after the Republican primaries in Milwaukee, where they had used his song. I think that's what inspired this whole conversation he's about to have with us.
Well, hey there. It's August 25th, 2023. A lot's changed since the last time I sat here and spoke to you. My friends and family have asked me how I'm doing. Everybody is wondering if I've lost my sanity yet, and I'm surprisingly calm and at peace. I don't even know what to say, but I feel thankful to be given this opportunity. You know, the music side is exciting, and all the Billboard, iTunes charts and all that crap, that's great, but the exciting part's been the conversations I've had with people and the things I've learned just in a couple weeks about the human spirit, and about all sorts of other things, the music industry, and how dirty everything is. Like, it's worse than you think.
That's interesting. I'd love to know more about that. The only thing I do know is I heard he turned down an $8 million contract, which is really cool.
So I don't know what the future looks like for me. I'm not really too concerned about the future. I'm living in the present, and I just have to have the discernment to make the right decisions from here on out, because I think about that guy who was sitting here a few weeks ago talking to you, and the most important thing to me is not leaving him behind.
Okay, I have to say a couple things. First of all, I love that. I hope he keeps that mindset up. You know what it looks like from the other songs that I've seen the titles of. It looks like his stuff is pretty darn personal and pretty darn like potentially like just writing to get through life stuff, the frustrations. Um, I love that this is the inside of his truck, the cab of his truck, and I love the rain. Like listening to this on headphones is like being in the truck with him. It's just really cool. I love hearing the rain on top. It just feels like it's right there, and I just that's just cool.
I don't want to go on some roller coaster ride and come off a different person. Uh,
It's got to be
if
crazy.
there is anything for me to address at all with you, it's that it's the one thing that has bothered me is seeing people wrap politics up into this. I'm disappointed to see, like, it's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them. It's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks. But it seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is, like, it was funny seeing my song in the. It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate, because it's like I wrote that song about those people, So for them to have to sit there and listen to that cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Oh,
That song's written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too, not just them, but definitely them. It's cool seeing some of my other music come out, because people are, I guess, starting to appreciate and understand what it is I'm really trying to say. It's hard to get a message out about your political ideology or your belief about the world in 3 minutes and some change.
I love that. Like that is such they're right. There's so much left, right? With his song that we just heard, there's so many, you could take things so many different ways and not quite know what he's thinking, and which obviously people did, and I'm glad he's speaking about it, and I want to know so much more about how his thought process and the deeper parts of it that didn't make it in the song because 3.5 minutes.
Or your belief about the world in 3 minutes and some change. But I do hate to see that song being weaponized. Like, I see the right trying to characterize me as one of their own, and I see the left trying to discredit me, I guess in retaliation. That shit's got to stop. If you watch the response videos on YouTube to this song, it's not conservative people responding to the song. It's not even necessarily Americans responding to the song. I don't know that I've seen anything get such positive response from such a diverse group of people. And I think that terrifies the people that I sing about in that song. And they've done everything they can the last 2 weeks to make me look like a fool, to spin my words, to try to stick me in a political bucket.
That part just has to be hard, right? To have written something, have it go crazy, and then everybody taking it, making it their own, deciding what you mean, and then utilizing it to forward their own message, or, like you say, make him look like a fool. A tiny little jog to the side, but it brings me back to something I was reading in the last Kate Bush song that I did a reaction to, and one of the comments about when I was reading what is the song about, Kate Bush said, she said, I quit talking about what the song was about because I would say what it was about for me and people go, no, 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 that's not it. And I realize that's a whole different level potentially than what he's talking about, but I'm curious, right? I'd love to hear the conversations that he's having with people, and that's just got to be fascinating and maddening, and what an education about the world and how it works, which is kind of what he even started this whole thing with. So it's just interesting.
To try to stick me in a political bucket. And they can keep trying, but I'm just going to keep on writing. And I've got a lot of words to put down on paper, and I've got a lot of songs to put to chords, and I don't know what my music career is going to look like. I don't know how many shows I'm going to do and how many tours I'm going to put on, but I am going to stay true to my word. I'm going to write, produce, and distribute authentic music that represents people and not politics. I do feel compelled to address something. Since I have addressed the conservatives, I do need to address the left as well, because they're sending a message out that initial song that sort of shot me up the radar, Richmond, north of Richmond, is an attack against the poor. If you listen to my other music, it's obvious that all of my songs that reference class defend the poor. Doggone, it's a good example of that. Needles in the street, folks hardly surviving on sidewalks next to highways full of cars self-driving. The poor keep hurting and the rich keep thriving. It's like, that's what I like to sing about. And, you know, the English language is interpretive, and so I do understand, like, there may be some people who misunderstood my words in Richmond, north of Richmond. But I've got to be clear that my message, like with any of my songs, it references the inefficiencies of the government because of the politicians within it that are engulfed in bribes and extortion. And, you know, the words say that there's people on the street with nothing to eat in the obese milk and welfare. That references a news article I read earlier this summer that adolescent kids in Richmond are missing meals over the summer because their parents can't afford to feed them, and they're not in school to eat cafeteria lunch. And meanwhile, I think like 30 or 40% of the food bought with welfare or EBT money is in a classification of like snack food and soda. I think 10% spent on soda, and I want to say like 20 or 30% spent on junk food. And that's not the fault of those people. Welfare only makes up a small percentage of our budget. You know, we can fuel a proxy war in a foreign land, but we can't take care of our own. That's all the song's trying to say. It's just saying that the government takes people who are needy dependent and makes them needy independent.
Complex.
And at some point I will dissect all my lyrics of all my songs, if that's what I need to do. I mean, 30-some million people understood what I was saying, but it only takes a few to try to derail the train, you know, to try to send out false narratives. And I'm sure there'll be more of that to come. It's like, it's driving people crazy to see the unity that's come from this, from all walks.
It's interesting to hear that, like, because I know that's something that I read in a couple of like headline things of just the unity that the song is bringing. And I want to hear more about what that looks like, because I feel like there's a lot of conversations, and I've only watched just a little bit of people who have talked about the song in their own political vein, that I feel like as I'm processing through this my own brain, I feel like some of those have been very kind of divided in the way that they're thinking. But I don't know, I'd love to see, the how this, because I think this song can unite people, right? There's a lot of it, no matter where you're sitting, that you can understand. And if people don't focus only, and this is what I feel like all I've seen, and I know it's media, and I know it's headlines, yada yada, and they're there to be clickbaity and to get us to look at something and to get us angry, right? We've read enough stuff about how Facebook and how media works that the goal is to make us angry. If we could shift that in ourselves. I mean, the quote unquote stick it to the man statement. But it's hard, and you depend on these journalists and things to tell you how the world works and the truth of the world. And unfortunately, it's not doing that. But if we could not focus on only the parts of the song we don't agree with or what's wrong with it, what we perceive is wrong with it, and make sure that people are watching this to hear what he is saying, to bring that unity together and have people in the same room and talk about what does this song mean to you, we probably find out people on quote unquote both sides of the aisle that we have so much more in common. And the problems that we have, we probably actually even agree on the problems, right? We're talking about them differently and we're looking at them differently. And I'd love to see him make some strides in that respect and help that conversation. And I think that is what he is doing, and well, certainly what he's trying to do. And I hope that continues to succeed, and I hope people can keep coming together, because that, again, the bits and pieces that I did see just felt like it was creating more of a divide, but that there's all this underlying stuff that we agree on. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about our differences in that. But let's hear each other in the differences, because some of those differences really are not that different, and they just maybe come from a different perspective. And if we could understand each other and agree, that would go so much farther to changing the world, and maybe have to change the rich men or the Richmond, have to change them a little bit. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry getting on my own soapbox, I guess. Trying to get on his a little, not to take it away from him, he can have his old soapbox, but just to say hello, hearing you. I think I'm hearing you anyway. Okay.
See the unity that's come from this, from all walks. This isn't a Republican and Democrat thing. This isn't even a United States thing. Like, this has been a global response. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Go on YouTube and watch all the response videos, you know? And don't shoot the messenger. Like, I'm a nobody. It's my belief that divine intervention has put me in this position in this point in time to get a message across, and that's all there is to it. Like, I'm nobody special. You know, I feel terrible almost that I've been put in this place, because there are a lot of artists and musicians out there that are far more talented, that have put in way more hours than me. Like, I don't deserve to sit in the top 5 places on the iTunes charts. And the truth is, I really could give a shit less about the iTunes charts. What I care about is connecting with people. What I care about is I don't know what this country is going to look like in 10 or 20 years if things don't change. I don't know what this world's going to look like. And like, something has to be done about it, you know? There's been too many people die. There's been too many people sacrifice everything they've had. People die before they're even 18, you know? Just for us to all sit here and just do the stupid shit it is that we do every day that keeps us all beat down and divided. Like, that's what I want to see stop. And I'm going to do everything I can to influence that at all costs, even if it does throw my world upside down. It's well worth it. But for now, I'm hanging in there, and I'm doing what I can. And I really appreciate everybody who's along for the ride. So there's a lot more to come, and I'm excited for it. And I'll see you on the next one.
So after hearing that, I want to go back and play this part of the song, because I think, again, like he says, words are interpretive, right? And the few times I've listened to this, I feel like I've come away with a different thought about a various number of the lyrics in the next few, especially, I think.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the whole beast milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
So the last line about people putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, like I wasn't sure if he was talking about war, like military. Also, what I kind of first thought was I really took all of those words all together because I think a lot of times people stop.
Folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the whole beast milking welfare.
I feel like people stop here, and when I was listening to this, I kept, well, okay, let's keep going.
Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
So yeah, we're stopping right there, which I was like going, okay, what direction is he taking this? And listening to the thing we just talked about, again, I'd love to know the depth of his thoughts on this, but when I listened to it, keeping going and put all this together with it.
Men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
I wasn't sure if some of that all fit together in thinking of depression and just all of the pieces that kind of go together. But I do find the statement really interesting. I'm glad he addressed it. Like I said, that it's about the system that isn't really well put together. And not to mention, I mean, I've spent a lifetime studying some of this, or a portion of my lifetime studying this, but the whole statement of overweight people and what they're eating and the choices they're making. And we talk about personal responsibility, but the other thing that we kind of ignore, because there's a lot of people making a crap ton of money on it and nobody wants to go up against them, is our food, is designed often. I mean, we think about in the US, there are how many things that are not allowed in other countries that we allow here. Be they chemicals, be they the, various things. But some of the junk, the things that we have in our quote unquote junk food or our processed food, I mean, just processed food. They're designed to be well put together so we just want to keep eating, right? Not to mention that they don't have a lot of nutrients in them. So our body is going, yeah, I'm starving for nutrients, so keep feeding me, right? And you add the addictive aspects that many people say. I know some people argue with this, and I don't think it's everybody's experience, but many people talk about the challenges they have with sugar, the challenges they have with like pizza, in the sense of wheat processed, those types of foods, right? You can eat how much pizza we can shove in our bodies, but can't do that as much with steak and vegetables or whatever the case might be. And I can't help but say too, is I think the whole food aspect, I hear people judge people who are on EBT for having children they need to feed or want to feed organic milk to, or organic vegetables, because their kid has a sensitivity or they just don't want all the hormones and they don't want the pesticides. They are judged. How dare you be on assistance and you eat that healthy food, right? Like that's not how they put it. Like, who do you think you are, you privileged person on EBT, wanting to have organic food and, or whatever the case might be, something like that, the corollary to that, right? So they're trying to make a good decision and take care of their family in the way that they need to be taken care of, and they're very, very judged. How dare you do that? How dare you try to do this healthy thing for yourself? How dare you do that, right? Like that's kind of jacked up. I've seen the videos of people yelling at people who have bought stuff with food stamps, right? They've bought a steak or they've bought a better quality meat or the like and gotten in trouble for that, So they're saying, when you look at those things, right? And then they also get in trouble for buying quote unquote junk food. And what is junk food, right? Like one can argue there's a lot of beef patties that have a crap ton of filler in them. So the person's like, oh, let me buy the steak because this is actually meat, right? Maybe they're smart enough to say that. I'm going to spend my money on on the steak instead of the wheat-filled hamburger because I actually want the nutrients from the steak. But so they can't win, right? And until we start thinking about some of those pieces and how do we help them, right? People who are struggling, and some, again, these are a lot of people working really crap jobs who don't want to come home. And I know this isn't true for everybody. Everybody's got their own story, but how do we listen to those stories, right? And nobody wants to take the time because if people talk about their woes, oh, whatever, you're just milking the welfare system. You don't really need to, you don't need to complain because you're getting something. I don't know. I could go on about this forever, about so many different aspects of it that we don't think about. Just having a conversation with the DJ a while back, or earlier today, about the aspects of, in the US, I don't know about other countries, but in the US, wheat and corn are subsidized. If you're eating wheat and corn and you're buying your, cheap, inexpensive bread, somebody else is paying for some of that. So that just doesn't come in the form of a government check to buy your food. That just comes as a gift. The welfare is already on the plate, right? It's already in the packaging. You just didn't have to bother to apply for it and pay for it in a different way. There's so much in this that's potentially in this little 4 lines that he's just delivered that I'm so curious about what his intention was, or if he had, yeah, this could mean 5 different things and they're all right on some level. I'm just so glad that he addressed that, and I'm curious to know, again, I think there's that curiosity. I'm curious to know what his political views are, but it's so often we throw people in the right wing or left wing or Republican or Democrat and don't recognize that there are really many complexities within the ideas around what that looks like, and what that means to each individual person and how they fall in shaded places, I guess, not just in the purple sections, I guess. Really interesting song. I think it's going to be fascinating to hear more from him. I would like to go and look at some more of his music just to learn, if his lyrics are as intense as they are here, like as intense, I mean full, you're going to get little bits and pieces about him throughout the different songs, which I think is really curious. So it'll be fun to learn more about him, and it will be really interesting to see where he goes and what, who is he in 15 years or 5 years, and can he maintain his own integrity? And he's getting a very interesting crash course in the music industry, it sounds like, and just all of the pieces around that and the people that are talking to him. So it's just like I said earlier, it's got to be a very interesting sort of social experiment in his own head. I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't know. You get the feeling that this guy is really authentic. I hope that it's true. I hope that is who he is. And it's even sad to even think that I'm asking the question. Like, I am sad that we live in a world where you kind of wonder. But I'm going to take him until I know otherwise. I'm going to take him at his word and what I think I see. And I wish him a lot of luck in the work that he's doing. And I'm impressed and hope he can maintain just however big he goes. I know I saw one of the other videos. He's like, I'm not a good singer. I don't know my way around the guitar that well, blah, blah, blah. And I know that there's a lot of people riding a wave that who knows how long it will be with just how much this is blown up. And that's sad. It's marketing, but it's sad. I'm sure there are people reaching out to him that have no intention of his well-being. It's just riding the wave. And that I say that only in guessing what he's experienced from what he said in his talk. So we'll see. I don't know, but I wish him luck. I wish him steadfast in being able to maintain his truth and his desire to do the good work. And hopefully, who knows, man, maybe he can cross some bridges and cross some understanding where people can really hear themselves differently, hear other people differently, and hear the people whose voices are not getting heard differently in a real way, to actually say, how do we not just say, oh, everything is too big, we can't do anything about it, it's just the way it is, there's too many people with money. How can we say, wait a minute, this is our country, let's actually help ourselves, let's help each other. I have no idea how to do that. I've tried many times in my little corner of the world to do what I can, and it's not enough. So I hope his platform can work wonders. Music does a lot to bring people understanding and bring them together. And I hope that the response from where he says this isn't about Biden and this is about the people on that stage, that doesn't have people turn on him, but has them more curious about their own experiences and their own thinking about going, wait a minute, I thought this, that didn't turn out to be true. Instead of saying he's a jerk, which I can imagine some people might say or feel embarrassed that they did that they took it a particular direction. Human and understanding, but how can we let those pieces go and say, okay, now how do we go forth? And this guy has a truth that resonates with so many people, even if it looks a little different. But how can we find our commonality and common ground? And how do we help? We got a lot of brilliant minds in this country. It would be nice if we could see them have more of the power in a good, using our power in a good way instead of the money aspect of things. But that's my little utopian dream. I feel like it shouldn't be impossible. And apparently he feels the same. So maybe not the exact same, but similar vein. All right. Holy guacamole, I feel like there are so many conversations that would be fun to have with people. I'd sit down and I'd be fascinated to sit down and have dinner with him. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot to say, and I feel like I've probably said too much. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you all for hanging out and being here and watching with me. I hope that whatever perspective you have on the song or have had on the song, that I hope, if you're familiar with the song at all, that it has been thought-provoking. It's a brave, yeah, I mean, I know he's just doing his music, but to have it take off, and in this world, you never know when something's going to take off, right? So it's got to feel just really weird. Put yourself out there and poof, wild ride. I imagine it's going to be a wild ride. All right, thank you all for hanging out with me and listening to my jibber jabber, and I hope that I'm making sense. There's just so many thoughts swimming in my head that I hope I'm putting them out there as clearly as possible. Take good care. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the other videos we've got if you're new to my show, if you're new to my channel. And hopefully we'll see you soon again. All right. Take good care and enjoy the music. Bye.